let me tell you something. When people start talking about India, they usually think they know the whole story. They see Bollywood, cricket, the spices, the colors, the noise, the chaos, the traffic, the energy. But that's just the surface. That's what the average man on the street thinks he understands. What they don't see, what most of the world has been blind to, is the depth of power, resilience, and transformation happening inside that nation. And when you hear an Israeli revealing the truth about India, you better listen, because it ain't just talk. It's insight from a people who know survival strategy and how to navigate a tough world. See, when a country like Israel speaks on India, it ain't small talk at a dinner table. It's a signal that something bigger is happening. Now, the shocking truth about India, the part the world still can't wrap its head around, is that India ain't playing second fiddle no more. For decades, global powers treated India like a backup singer, like somebody who had potential but wasn't ready for the big stage. Well, baby, the curtain's up now. The spotlight is on, and India is walking out center stage with a mic in hand saying, I got this. And when Israel, a nation that's been fighting tooth and nail for its survival since the day it was born, looks over and says, India is the one to watch. That means the world order is shifting. India is not just a market with 1.4 billion people. It's not just about cheap labor or call centers like people used to joke about. India is becoming the heartbeat of a new world. And the rhythm is so loud that even countries that used to ignore it can't sleep at night. They're waking up saying, hold up, how did India get this strong this fast? See, there's why India is no longer a follower. Power moves quietly until it doesn't. And right now, India's rise is the loudest silence you've ever seen. Think about it. India went from colonization. Why India is no longer a follower, from being stripped, looted, broken, and humiliated, to standing as one of the strongest economies in the world. You don't do that by accident. You don't climb that mountain by mistake. That's not luck. That's discipline, resilience, and a refusal to accept the label the world tried to pin on you. That's generational patience. That's grit in the DNA. India has been waiting, biding time, building, and now it's ready. Israel sees it, and they're saying it out loud, even when others are scared to admit it. Now, let me hit you with this. When Israelists talk about survival, they mean it. They're surrounded by hostility, yet they thrive. They build weapons, technology, intelligence networks. They fight every single day just to exist. For them to look at India and say that right there is strength, it means India has stepped into a place where the survivors recognize another survivor. You don't get that kind of respect by chance. You earn it, and India earned it. Let's keep it real. The shocking truth is India ain't just another developing nation climbing a ladder. India is the ladder now. Countries are climbing on India's back, trying to get higher. Technology companies, defense deals, alliances, trade routes, they're all lining up because they know the future runs through India. Israel sees that. Israel knows that tomorrow's balance of power ain't going to be written in Washington, Moscow, or Beijing alone. It's going to be written in New Delhi too. And that's shocking for a lot of people who thought they could just use India and keep it small. But baby, You can't keep a giant in a cage forever. See, India plays the game differently. Some nations roar, others whisper, but India calculates. India plays chess while the world's still playing checkers. For years, it built quietly, avoided unnecessary wars, kept its eyes on education, technology, and growth. Then when it was time, it flipped the switch. And now everyone's standing around saying, wait, when did this happen? It happened when you, the untold truth about India's power, weren't watching while you were busy underestimating them. The shocking truth, the untold truth about India's power is India is the only country that can talk to both America and Russia, both Israel and Iran, both Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and walk away with respect from every side. That ain't easy. Most nations get locked in one camp, one alliance, one leash. But India said, nah, I make my own way. And that's why Israel, with all its sharpness, is pointing at India, because they see a nation that has learned the art of survival, the art of balance, and the art of power. Now let's talk about technology. Israel has always prided itself on innovation. They turned a desert into farmland. They created some of the world's best cybersecurity, drones, and defense systems. And yet, when they look at India, they see a sleeping lion that's starting to wake up. India ain't just buying weapons anymore. It's making them. Not just coding apps, it's building entire digital ecosystems. India's got scientists putting rockets on the moon at a fraction of the cost. They got doctors leading global health care. They got engineers building systems Silicon Valley is learning from. That's shocking to those who thought India would just stay the back office of the world. But it ain't the back office no more. It's the CEO's chair, baby. And Israel, sharp as ever, recognizes the boss when they see one. The other shocking truth about India is that it is redefining what strength looks like. The world always thought strength was about weapons, bombs, intimidation. But India's strength comes from its people, its democracy, its diversity. It's messy, it's loud, it's chaotic, but it works. And in that chaos is power. Because you can't break a country that's already learned how to hold together so many languages, religions, cultures, and still move forward. Israel knows what resilience looks like. And when they look at India, they see a mirror of that same survival instinct, just on a massive scale. Let me put it this way. The shocking truth isn't just that India is rising. It's that India is rising without asking for permission. And that scares people. For centuries, nations, India, Israel's strategic ties, waited for the approval of the West to be India. Israel's strategic ties considered powerful. India doesn't need that stamp. It doesn't care if the old powers clap or not. It's writing its own history in its own ink, on its own terms. Israel respects that, because Israel had to do the same thing. Stand alone, be doubted, be underestimated, and still win. That's why when Israel speaks on India, it ain't empty flattery. It's recognition. It's saying, you got the juice now? But here's where it gets even deeper. India is not only shocking the world by rising, it's shocking the world by changing how power itself works. This ain't just about armies or money. This is about influence, Indian culture, Indian food, Indian cinema, Indian values. They're spreading everywhere. You go to New York, London, Sydney, Dubai, you'll find little Indias everywhere. And it's not hidden. It's celebrated. The diaspora carries the motherland on their shoulders. And they influence politics, businesses, and culture in ways no one predicted. Israel sees that too, because they know the strength of a diaspora. They know how people abroad can become a nation's second army, not with guns, but with brains, businesses, and networks. And India's diaspora is the biggest, loudest, most influential one out there. You see, the shocking truth is that India doesn't need to conquer anyone to win. It doesn't need to occupy land or flex bombs every day. Its power is in attraction. People want to work with India. Trade with India, learn from India, visit India. That's a soft power, so strong it becomes hard power in itself. Israel respects warriors, but they also respect intelligence, and India has proven that you can fight a different kind of war. The war of ideas, technology, culture, and come out on top. Now don't get it twisted. India still has struggles, still has poverty, still has challenges. But that's exactly why its rise is so shocking, because it's rising despite the weight. It's climbing with chains on its feet and still reaching higher than those who had every advantage. That's why people can't believe it. That's why some nations are whispering, how are they doing this? And that's why Israel's sharp, saying the truth out loud. India is about to be the nation no one can ignore. The shocking truth is that it already is. And when Israel reveals it, it ain't just a prediction, it's confirmation. The survivors of the India's global rise explained world know each other when they see each other. And India's global rise explained, India just walked into the survivor circle not as a guest, but as a leader. The revelation is that India is no longer a follower. It is set in the global rules of engagement. See, for a long time the world had this script and everybody was supposed to play their roles. America was the leader. Europe was the voice of morality. China was the factory. Russia was the muscle, and India. Well, India was just supposed to sit there, provide cheap labor, sing its songs, serve its spices, and stay in its lane. That's what the old world order wrote down for India. That's the character they wanted India to play. But here's the thing. India tore that script up. India said, I ain't auditioning for no role you created. I'm writing my own movie, producing my own story, and baby, I'm the star. And that right there is shocking the world, because when you stop following, when you stop waiting for approval, when you stop asking what do they think about me, and you start saying this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, everything changes. And India, for the first time in modern history, is not reacting anymore. It's acting. It's not waiting for the world to tell it what to do. It's telling the world this is how it's going to be. And let me tell you something that shakes people. That shakes the ones who got used to controlling the game. That shakes the ones who thought India would always need them. See, rules of engagement aren't just military terms. They're about how the world interacts, how power is shared, how influence is negotiated. And the shock in truth is India is setting those rules. Now look around, detractors. Nations are suddenly adjusting their policies because of India. Companies are moving their factories to India, not because it's cheap, but because India is now the standard. Tech giants are bending to India's data rules. Defense powers are adjusting their strategies because of India's partnerships. Even global climate talks don't move unless India nods. That's rule set and not rule following. And that's brand new for a country the world thought would always be 2 steps behind. Now, how did India get here? That's the part nobody wants to admit. They thought India was too how India is setting new rules, messy, too diverse, too chaotic to ever pull it together. They thought the noise of democracy, the constant debates, the religious differences, the languages, it would all keep India distracted. But what they didn't see was that in that very chaos was a secret weapon. You can't break a people who've already learned how to hold a billion voices together. You can't destabilize a democracy that's already noisy on a daily basis. India learned to operate in storms while other countries only know how to function in calm waters. That resilience is why today India can step into the ring and dictate terms. Let me make it plain how India is setting new rules. When India buys oil from Russia, but still partners with America on defense, and still does business with Europe on trade, and still works with Israel on intelligence, that's not following anybody's orders. That's saying I will talk to who I want, when I want, and on my terms, and the world is forced to listen. Because when you got 1.4 billion people, a growing economy, a booming tech sector, and one of the most powerful militaries, nobody can afford to ignore you. That's what scares the old powers. They used to be the ones making the calls. Now they're waiting on India's phone call. That's a role reversal the world wasn't ready for. The revelation is that India is not just rising, it's redefining the game. See, the West always set the rules before. They told countries, you want loans, follow our rules. You want trade, follow our rules. You want recognition, follow our rules. India flipped it. India said, you want access to our market, you follow our rules. You want to do business here, you follow our data laws. You want to sell your tech here, you build it here. That's bold. That's a nation that ain't begging anymore. That's a nation that understands its value. And when you know your worth, you stop letting other people set your price. Now, Israel being sharp and strategic sees this before most people do. They understand that India is no longer a junior partner in global affairs. India is a co-writer of the rule book. When Israel looks at India, they see a nation that has the patience of history, the ambition of a superpower, and the moral legitimacy of a democracy. That combination is rare. That's why this revelation is shocking, because India ain't supposed to be in this position. Not according to the old world, but here it is. Anyway, writing new rules, changing the terms of engagement. Let me give you an example. In the defense world, for decades, India was the biggest buyer. Everybody wanted to sell weapons to India. But now India is not just buying its building, it's exporting missiles, drones, ships. It's saying to the world, if you want a partner, you come on equal terms. That's the shocking truth revealed, not following the script. That's editing the script. Same with space. Used to be America and Russia called the shots. Now when India lands a rover on the moon at a fraction of the cost, the world is shocked because the old rule said only the rich, the shocking truth revealed, can play in space. India tore that rule out of the book, and don't forget technology. The rule used to be Silicon Valley innovates, the rest of the world follows. But now India is building its own digital infrastructure, payment systems. Idaho systems, platforms are bigger than what America has differently. And then India says, if you want access to our people, you follow our regulations. That right there is a flip. That's India's not India moving from consumer to regular to leader. The revelation goes deeper. India is set in the rules of cultural engagement too. I'm bold and Indian festivals, they're global. People around the world are celebrating Diwali, watching Indian films, eating Indian cuisine. That's soft power, baby. That's influence. That's India writing the cultural calendar, not just following it. Here's what shocks the world the most. India is setting these rules without being aggressive, without trying to dominate. It's not rolling tanks into other countries. It's not forcing its ideology down people's throats. It's leading by attraction, by scale, by persistence. And in today's world, that kind of power is harder to resist than brute force because you can fight an army. But you can't fight influence. You can't fight when the whole world wants what you got. And that's what makes this motivation that will change your mindset revelation so heavy. India doesn't just have power, it has pull. Now understand something. Setting rules of engagement doesn't mean India controls everything. It means India decides the terms of its participation and others have to adjust. That's a huge shift. When global powers start calling New Delhi before they make decisions, that's a change in engagement